All right, so this is just a brief garden tour. Um, it's October in Southeast Texas right now, mid-October. Right now, I'm getting ready to start the fall crops, and I'm just going to show you what's going on now. So, right here, I've started lettuce, so we'll see how that goes. My chickens keep getting back here and scratching up the dirt, so I don't know. And this lantana, which was a volunteer plant, for the first time this spring, is huge. There's all kind of stuff back there, like there's a blackberry vine, a couple of rose bushes. There was a cucumber plant back there. You can see one that got really overripe that I never got to, that hit the floor. And here I'm doing like a little compost pile. I'm gonna try to disguise it under some other plants so that you won't be able to see. This is just for like kitchen stuff. It's full of worms, which is awesome. There's like worms all up in here. Let's see. Well, anyway, I can't get to them, but I just scratched this back and there were like 10 worms in the top. Okay, so I'm still trying to figure out how I'm going to enclose my chickens during the day, or if I'm going to enclose them. I think I am, because they keep scratching up my seedlings throughout my garden, and I just planted 50 corn stalks and they demolished them within a day or two. I've fenced them off from this enclosed garden area that's right off my back patio with this chicken wire, and that's to keep them from pooping on my patio, because that attracts flies and stinks and all that other crazy stuff. So anyways, so this is their enclosure, which is temporary right now. I just kind of have them fenced in to this one particular area. Actually, they're not enclosed. Like, there's an opening there and somewhere else where they can get access the whole yard. But eventually, I intend to keep them enclosed in this area here, which I started framing out with these sweet gum branches that came from a tree we removed. And I still haven't finished framing it out, so I just kind of temporarily have the chicken wire and the hardware mesh, put up there. I made these nest boxes from this little rabbit hutch that I found on the side of the road, and they seem to like it, although I'm wondering if they're laying eggs elsewhere in the yard, because I'm only getting 3 eggs a day from 11 Bantams and 3 standard chickens. About 3 or 4 of them are broody right now, the Bantams. So Silkies are notorious for being broody. And then I just built a rectangle with hardware cloth, and I need to fix their perch because it's fallen down. Oh, look, there's an egg. So I wouldn't be surprised if they're like buried in here. They do that sometimes. They bury the eggs in their bedding. So these are my raised beds, and yeah, they look crazy and out of control. And they kind of are. So I got this tomato going. Hopefully I'll get some tomatoes. I didn't get any this summer or spring. So, I got a few from a volunteer, and maybe like 1 or 2 measly ones from intentional plants, but I planted a lot of tomato plants, and I don't know why I didn't have any success. But my okra plants are still kicking. I don't know, if I should just go ahead. I actually did cut them down, and then they, I just cut them down from like the base, and then they started coming back. Probably like a few days later, and I just let them go. Katook, which is pretty good. I need to water it. Seems a little wilty. A lot of this stuff I planned to plant in the ground, but I just haven't found the time to do it yet. Lemon basil went to seed, so I'll probably collect some of these seeds to share and then let the rest hit the ground, and hopefully this will reseed itself. All of my beds are keyhole with this swaddling, which we made in the early spring. So all of this edging will obviously be like broken down probably in the next year or two, which is okay because I wanted all of my garden to be ground level. I didn't want any raised beds, but these beds are filled with wood chip mostly. So I say all that to say that I'm growing things in wood chip, which they say you can't do, but obviously you can grow things in wood chip. Now, I'm sure things would be doing a lot better if this wood chip was, it's fresh wood chip, ramial wood chip. So anyway, these are sweet potatoes. They just basically took over everything. I only planted sweet potatoes in a few spots, but this whole area, like, I've actually trimmed this back 2 or 3 times, and they just keep pumping. I got a couple of cotton plants, which are fun. It's kind of fun to see the cotton in its raw state. Let's see if we can find one there. So that's kind of fun, right? I don't know what I'm gonna do with the cotton I've collected at this point, but I'll probably do something. Here's another tomato plant. I think I planted this back in the spring, and it's not produced anything. It had flowers. I saw bees on the flowers. It could be the poor soil or the poor wood chip that it's planted in. But I had tomatoes planted in these beds too, and these beds are established beds. They were just mulched with leaves and stuff. But I had lots of production in these beds this summer, but none of my tomatoes produced. I don't know if it was the timing when I planted things. It's a little pumpkin plant. I'm gonna do some cauliflower here, a little row I just dug out, but I kind of need to resolve this chicken issue because as soon as they see me dig somewhere, they like feel the need to go dig there as well, and so they dig up all my hard work. We just got a new load of wood chips, 2 loads actually. So we're going to start wood chip in this area. We, ultimately want to have the whole backyard covered, no grass. So we started dumping loads back here. This actually, my neighbor did this. Shout out to my neighbor, my awesome neighbor. I haven't started. The spirit hasn't moved me yet to start moving wood chip. So this is where we wood chipped in the spring. So this area here is great to walk on. Like when we got all that heavy rain with Harvey, it still felt really dry and great to walk on the wood chip. Meanwhile, over here, where there was no wood chip, was a lake. And this is, I guess this area collects water back here. So it's great if we can get this all wood chipped. Because where water collects, mosquitoes breed, and we don't want that. And then I have like this space between me and my neighbor's fence that keeps growing grass. So I need to mulch that or figure out some kind of way to keep that from growing grass, because you can't really get in between this space. I would remove the entire fence, but there's like space underneath her wooden fence. And I feel like this fence kind of guards against things crawling under the fence, like the metal fencing keeps things from crawling under the fence because it actually goes down into the ground. And so we do have lots of raccoons and possums, and of course they can climb this fence quite easily, but anything to make it a little harder to get in my yard and get to my chickens. These are pawpaws. This tree here is a pawpaw. Look it up if you don't know what that is, but it's native to the United States, I think, and it's got like a tropical flavor. So this pawpaw didn't do too good, and this one's completely in wood chip. But it's also in more shade. but now it's finally putting out another leaf. So at first it put out several leaves, and then for some reason it didn't do well with all the rain, which some of my stuff just didn't do well. These are raspberry canes that are all bare. I don't know if they're dead or what's going on with that, but I have a couple of raspberries back here. Raspberries supposedly are a little tricky in our climate. Anyway, I didn't intend to make this video more than 10 minutes, so I'll probably edit out a couple of minutes, but I do want to show you the beehives because I finally added the second box. Also, my peach trees and nectarine trees did not do well after Harvey either. I don't know if they got waterlogged or what, but I have this one raised above ground slightly, you know, to improve drainage, I guess. I don't know if that's a good idea or not, but we did remove 3 cedars along this fence, and cedars I've heard give off allelopathic compounds, which can cause other plants not to thrive. I don't know if that's true or not. Anyway, also I have a couple of hickory nut trees planted in pots, and they're not doing great either. So I'm kind of sad about that. I do have a pecan in a pot that seems to be doing well. This crepe myrtle has some blackberry vine growing around it, which is great. This is just something that I don't know if the previous owner planted it or if it's wild, but I have like wild dill growing over there. This is wild dill. It's went to seed. I'm excited about that though, because even though I don't cook that much with a dill, it's just nice to have for that one time I decide to make something with dill. Oh, here's the beehives. So that's after I've added the second brood box to each one, and they seem to be doing pretty well. I'm a little concerned for a couple of reasons I won't get into now, but they seem to be doing all right. I added the brood boxes a little late because they had already started working on their last frames when I added, and I don't think you're supposed to wait that long. Anyway, I'll talk about them later. Here's my fig tree that I love that was here when we moved in, and it's producing its second fruiting this year. So all the leaves fell off, and then it's just got a few leaves, but it's got a ton of clusters of fruit on it. It's just covered in clusters of fruit. And then more sweet potatoes. My neighbor planted sweet potatoes, and her sweet potatoes are actually growing into my yard. All right. Oh, my banana trees. So this one's ornamental. I'll probably take it out. And these are not ornamental. This is like ice cream banana, and then a dwarf Cavendish, a Mysore, and an apple, I think, manzanita banana. And then I've got some sapodilla and mango. Oh, and a papaya over here. So I don't know, you know, these are all tropical plants. I considered building like a greenhouse over here. I might still do it over this for the 2 freezes a year that we get here in Houston, but I don't know. I might just see what happens and charge it to the game if anything dies and doesn't come back. The bananas I'm pretty confident will come back if they do freeze down, but the mango and the sapodilla, which were both like $40 trees, may not come back if they freeze because they're tropical plants. I also have some, just want to show these because they're mayhaw plants, and they have these little berries that aren't really that good to eat out of hand, but they make awesome jelly. My grandmother makes mayhaw jelly. So I said, you know, I'm going to get some mayhaw trees so that I'll always be able to make that jelly. I've got some persimmons back here and some apples that got bent over during Harvey. I was going to straighten them up and tie them to this post. Obviously, haven't gotten around to that. Anyway, that's gonna be it. Oh, there's my pecan tree. So much to show, so little time. Thanks for watching. Bye.